Hey, y'all. Lanice Joseph, founder of I'm Worth the Wait, and I'm back with another video. This video in particular is entitled, Don't Be Surprised If You Come Out Looking Like Him Because You've Been Spending Time with Him. So this video involved out of a situation, first of all, one of the messiest seasons of my life, a season that has literally pushed me to the feet of Jesus, literally. And I remember thinking to myself, why aren't you upset? Why aren't you angry? Why aren't you fighting? Why aren't you cussing? Why aren't you crying? You know, all the normal things that hard seasons push you to do or make you feel like you should be doing. Kind of makes you feel like something's wrong with you if you're not. And God posed this question. You've been spending time with me. Why wouldn't you look like me? Why wouldn't your mind be transformed? Why wouldn't you handle things, the way that you're supposed to handle it? There's evidence that I live there because you've been spending time. This season has been one of the most difficult seasons of my life. It's been very challenging, yet transforming. And when I say that is, what I mean by that is I'm being transformed in the midst of it. My mind is being renewed. My mind is being transformed. My heart is being transformed. My posture is different. The way I approach situations is different. The way I handling things are different. The way I'm processing things are different. And I know that it's not anything of my doing. It's definitely the Lord, because the flesh, Lanice, would have responded a different way. And even when I got saved at first, I would have responded a different way. I'm really learning self-control in this season. And that's not to toot my horn, but it's just to give him glory, because when I tell you, he's just been blowing my mind with the way that he is changing me. And it's crazy how this video came about. At the time, I didn't know it was going to become a video until later on. He laid it on my heart to make it a video. But at the time, I was dealing with a current situation that I'm in now. And I was tripping out because I had so much peace. It was like as quick as I would get angry is as quick as my peace would come in and I wouldn't be upset anymore. And it was like I was looking for it. I was looking for, the frustration and the stuff to set in. And I began to deal with it. And I'm like, it's crazy how you can be so used to dysfunction and so used to, just chaos and confusion and all of these different things that peace feels odd to you. And I had to check myself, and I'm like, this is what comes with being a believer. This is what comes with serving God. Real peace. Not saying you have peace, but real peace in your heart, in your mind. Not arguing back and forth with anybody. Not going through the whole motions of what somebody said and did and feeling all the weight and all that stuff all over again. And so I was sitting there and I remember kind of waiting for this feeling like, okay, why aren't you mad? You see the situation, usually you would be mad. Usually you would go off. Usually it would ruin your whole day. You would be popping off. You'll be cussing. You'll be ready to fight. Your tongue would just get real reckless. And I remember the Lord saying, you've been spending time with me. Why wouldn't you look like me? Why wouldn't your response be different? This is what's supposed to happen when you sit before me. This is what's supposed to happen when you're in relationship with me, when you're in constant communion with me, when you're walking by the Spirit. And it blew my mind. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. Why am I looking? Why am I fighting something I've been praying about? I've been asking the Lord to fill me with his love, make me more like him, transform me more, even the more in his image. And he's just been doing just that. Isn't it crazy how we can ask the Lord to do something and then we're shocked when he does it? And I think it's much easier to recognize it when you're praying for a car or a house or, him to come through in a blessing type of way. But when you're praying for his characteristics, and then it happens and then you feel like a punk. Like, am I the only one who ever feels like that? I've had times where I felt like, no, you should be mad. No, you should be holding a grudge, or no. And I know, don't get me wrong. I know that, forgiveness and things like that are a part of being a believer. But I used to be somebody who would think, even being saved, I would think, you letting somebody walk over you because you're not saying something, or you're not being mad or frustrated and giving them a piece of your mind is letting you walk over them. And I've always been such a quiet person, since since I was little. I'm not going to say that I just always can contain my mouth, because my mouth can get real reckless if I let it. But I've always been somebody who was super passive, if you will. A lot of people, would call me passive, like super passive, where people felt like they could walk over me and say things. And it got to the point where, where family members or friends felt like they had to stand up for me because I would never say anything. But it's crazy because I didn't realize that is the power of God. Obviously, you put people in their place to not let them step all over you. I will say that you don't just let anybody just drug you through the mud. But I didn't realize he was already developing certain characteristics. And that's why we have to allow our hearts and our minds to be renewed, because you can take on the wisdom of the world. The world will tell you, no, go off, treat people how you treat them, and, treat them how they treat you, and this, that, and the other. But when you look at his word and he's telling you to pray for your enemies, those who, despitefully use you and persecute you, it sounds crazy. It looks like, what? Pray for them? Yeah, after I fight them, how we are. Our natural mind is not to have his natural mind. And that's why renewing of the mind is so imperative in a walk with Christ. So it's like, now I'm in a place where it's like, even if I do get frustrated, or I feel like I'm being, punked, if you will, or if I'm being looking like I'm weak, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take it, because at the end of the day, I am being transformed into his image, and that's what I want. I want him to be pleased with me. I'm not concerned what another person thinks about me, what they say about me, how they feel about me. I'm being transformed into the image and the love of Christ, and that's what I'm supposed to display. So if you mess with me or you do certain things to me, you're going to have to take it up to him now. I'm not going to be in the way of it. So I leave you guys with this. Really analyze and take some time and see and ask the Lord, or even just look over your life and try to see, what ways are you fighting him? What ways are you fighting against the very things that you've been praying for, the very situations you've been praying about? Look back and see. You will see. I think it's so easy for us naturally to think, oh, if you be around certain individuals, you become like that. When I was in high school and stuff, I would hear people saying, oh, excuse my language, all the hoes, hang out together, or all the girls who are promiscuous, or all the, whatever category you want to put people in. And I don't think we realize, like, it's the same with God. When you are spending time with him, you're going to be like him. You're going to be transformed. There is no way you could come into his marvelous night. There's no way you can go into his presence, his real presence. I mean, the real presence of God, not the presence of God that make you feel, because, there's other spirits out there. People call it God, but it ain't God. His spirit transforms you. You will see Galatians 6, the fruits of the spirit. When you've been operating with God, when you've been walking with the true and living God, you're going to see the results. It's not going to be fake. It's not going to be phony. It's going to be very, very apparent. So like I said before, don't be surprised if you come out looking like him, because you've been spending time with him. This is Lenice Joseph, founder of I'm Worth the Wait Ministries. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Talk to you guys again soon. I hope this message blesses you all.